I met a chiropractor and we just, we hit it off, and the way he was living his life was the way I wanted to live my life.
Got it.
I know nothing about chiropractic. I had never even heard of it.
Got it.
All I knew is the fact that he was about to go to China for 30 days. That was something I wanted to do.
Exactly.
And I was like, whatever you doing that allows for you to go to China for 30 days, that's what I'm doing.
That's right.
And I remember that day making that decision. I'm gonna be a chiropractor.
Welcome to Career Plug. Hi, and welcome to Career Plug. Today I have a special guest. He is a chiropractic doctor. We are both Midwesterners, and what we're trying to do with Career Plug, once again, to remind you, is expose the number of careers that exist in the world. I think we all have thought about law, medicine, engineering. I myself am a lawyer, but I wish I knew about the number of careers that exist. So today, I have a chiropractor here, Dr. Edgar Everett. He is a good friend of mine, an entrepreneur, and just a generally good guy. Want to welcome you to Career Plug.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Let's start off a little bit with just generally like what you're plugged into these days. I know you have two daughters, three daughters. Excuse me.
I know, man. I know. Yeah.
So
keep track.
Yes. Can you get into a little bit of what you're plugged into?
Right? Three daughters. That takes up most of my time these days, which I'm grateful for. Right? I'm grateful that my career has been able to allow me to spend more time with them. I'm definitely plugged into chiropractic and all things chiropractic, all the stuff around that.
Yes.
I'm very, very into it, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And then just, some other things that are outside of chiropractic that, have piqued my interest as I've gotten a little bit older and a little bit farther along in my specific career. Just some other things that have piqued my interest over the, recently.
Correct. So I know your oldest daughter is now at Howard University. She is a official Bison.
She's an official Bison, which she reminds me regularly.
You and I both went to what they call PWIs.
Yes.
And although we are proud graduates,
right.
your daughter, any decision for that around that HBCU?
Yeah, you know what? We had a lot of discussion, a lot of talk about really focused on what it is she wanted to do.
Okay.
Right. And so we wanted to make sure we matched up whatever school she went to what it is she wants to do. And I think that's really important because I think, as we generationally, as we go along, especially as Black people, we get more educated about how to make these decisions. Right. When I went to school, I literally was passing the school on the highway and my aunt was like, you want to go check this school out? That's how I ended up in my school. Right.
Wow.
Where with my daughter, after some education, we really looked at the different schools, who offered what was closest to her, to her chosen career. And when we saw that Howard was a good fit for what it is she wanted to do, that's when she applied. So it's a different strategy these days, right? And I'm thankful that an HBCU fit her career. Now, if it didn't, we wouldn't have gone to an HBCU because her career is really important. But I'm just thankful that Howard, checked all the boxes.
Oh, it checks many boxes.
It checks many boxes.
As one who was admitted to Howard and Morehouse and Hampton, but ended up in school in the South.
Yeah.
And I know that her career, or what she's thinking, she's a pre-med major. Any reason that she went that way specifically, given that, you and your wife are chiropractors?
Yeah, so, me being a chiropractor was a big part of, her experience, right? She grew up amongst natural medicine. Her mom, has always been very into natural stuff for her. She's learned a lot about natural stuff with her as she's aged and, had a few health challenges. So she learned about a bunch of natural stuff. And so she knew natural medicine is what she wanted to do. Now, with me having some experience in the industry, we had that discussion. And the discussion we began to have was, she thought she wanted to be a naturopath, right? And, getting into that career specifically meant that she wouldn't be licensed in many of the states in the United States. Naturopaths are only licensed in a few states.
Got it.
So, we talked about how best to get to where it is she wanted to get to. And I suggested that she think about going to medical school to become a medical doctor so that she could be licensed, and now she can practice however she wants. She doesn't ever have to prescribe any medication for the rest of her life.
Wow.
She can practice natural medicine, but she can do it as a medical doctor, which puts you in a totally different position.
Oh, that's great.
Right, than an unlicensed naturopath.
Correct.
So we wanted to put her in a position to be as successful as possible and serve the way she wanted to serve.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And for her to be given that perspective and the benefit of your experience is even greater. So for you specifically, growing up in the Midwest, again, we sort of feel like you need to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer,
Right.
maybe an architect.
Right.
If you want to throw maybe teachers in there, but the successful ones
Right.
were, the professional degrees. Was that part of your influence?
On my daughter?
No, for you specifically.
Oh, for me specifically. You know what college was?
Okay.
Going to college after high school was definitely, always on my mind. What exactly and how exactly I was going to go about all of this was stuff I just had to figure out. Now, I got lucky because I knew from high school that I wanted to be a chiropractor.
Wow.
So I met a chiropractor and we just, we hit it off, and the way he was living his life was the way I wanted to live my life.
Got it.
I know nothing about chiropractic. I had never even heard of it.
Got it.
All I knew is the fact that he was about to go to China for 30 days. That was something I wanted to do.
Exactly.
And I was like, whatever you doing that allows for you to go to China for 30 days, that's what I'm doing.
That's right.
And I remember that day making that decision, I'm gonna be a chiropractor. Now, I got lucky in that it really fit me.
Wow.
Right? Chiropractic really fit me. As I began to learn more about it, I worked in a chiropractor's office when I was in undergrad. And it really stuck. And I was really blessed to be able to meet a chiropractor, but it also be a good fit for me. So it's all accidental.
Yeah, that's interesting because being exposed, especially to something like the chiropractic field seems pretty rare.
Yeah.
And I don't know, among my friends, I don't know many of us that thought about becoming chiropractors. And part of what you're saying is for you, it was really a meeting with someone, and then at the age of whatever, 16, you're looking at his lifestyle and saying, okay,
Yeah.
that looks conducive to what I want to do. Did you, during college, did you waver from that at all? Did you say, forget being a chiropractor, I'm going to go into medicine, traditional medicine, and go then, to a residency and med school?
Nah, I don't have that personality. I'm just kind of a pretty decisive person. When I decided back then, my junior year in high school, that this was what I was going to do, that was it, man. I really didn't think about anything else. I didn't think about altering that. When school got hard, which it did get very difficult, I didn't really think about anything else. I was pretty focused on that being what I wanted to do. And I think I stumbled upon a concept that I think many young people miss. And many people, period, as we even get older and we're thinking about our careers, is that I believe we think about it in the wrong direction.
Got it.
I think we think, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer, right? I want to be an engineer. Like, that's what I want to be. And I think that's that statement right there is the problem, because I am not a chiropractor, right? You are not a lawyer.
Right.
You are not an engineer. It's what you do for a living.
Correct.
Right? It's how you serve.
It is not your whole person.
It's not your whole person. And I think that's one of the big mistakes that we make, is it becomes a big part of our identity. And then, you 20 years later, you realize that was a mistake.
Correct.
And so I stumbled upon it in that the way I came to chiropractic was through his lifestyle.
Wow.
Right? This is how I want to live. Now, what can get me to how I want to live?
So how you want to live.
Being a chiropractor, which I believe is the better way to choose our careers, is how do I want to live? Do I want to serve at this huge level, right? Do I want to travel the world? Do you want to make a bunch of money?
Right.
Am I a minimalist and I don't need a lot? Like, what's going to provide for me the life if I want to raise a family, right? What's going to provide for me that life? And I think thinking that way first, And from that, choosing a career is a much more successful way to go about it.
That's a great, wisdom perspective. I wonder at 18, sort of like, because so many of us are trying to figure out, it's hard to, unless you've had maybe, people go ahead of you,
Right.
or, you have an uncle or a mentor of some kind that helps instruct you on different ways to choose a career.
Yeah.
I think, we are in fact thinking about what makes the most money, what in society is considered successful.
Right.
And to your earlier point, I think what we found is that lawyers, doctors, others 20 years in their career have the suicide rates.
Yeah.
I don't know the specific numbers, right offhand.
But anecdotally, we know.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We know.
There's a lot of unhappiness.
Yes.
So again, part of what I'm doing with Career Plug is exposing kind of firsthand this knowledge, this wisdom, this perspective,
Right.
to help people choose. Because if we have if we have people choosing with a little bit more knowledge, then we have, happier people, happier society. People are just more fulfilled,
Yeah.
and walking in their gift.
That's it. That's it. I think that's it. I think that's really the key, is like you said, walking in your gift, which I think is almost like a matrix of things, right? That all come together to provide for you the life that makes you happy. And that's all these things. Like I said, like how you want to serve, how much money you feel like you need, rate if you want to have kids or have a family, if you want to live in a high rise in downtown New York, if you want to live in a little bitty house out in the country. Whatever that might be, putting all those things together to really help you to make that decision.
Right.
And I think that's what a good mentor can do. So at 17 or 18, I got lucky, but many of us don't.
Correct.
Right? But I think having a really good mentor is a way to allow for that to happen, for you to make a really good, educated, nothing's perfect, but to
Right.
make an educated decision about what it is you want to be, because you may think you want to be a surgeon, but being a nurse is probably a better fit for you.
That's right.
Right? Or you may think you want to be a fireman, but being an attorney is a better fit for you when you analyze all the data,
That's right.
All the things that you know about yourself and your personality, and the things that you've seen and the things that attract you.
Right.
This is what I think I want. Well, being a fireman can't get you that.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You work a lot. You work overnight. You work 24 hours. You do, all of these things. So
That's great perspective.
I think there's a lot to think about, before you decide on a career.
So what is the difference? I would say, what is the biggest difference between the pursuit of going into the field of becoming a chiropractor, and what's the difference in that and a medical degree?
Sure. Yeah. From an education standpoint.
Correct. Yeah.
So the big difference is, as chiropractors, we have a lot more class hours than a medical doctor actually does.
People don't know that.
People don't know that, right?
Yeah. People don't know that.
lot-
People don't realize that.
It's a very grueling program. Many people call it the most grueling program in healthcare.
Wow.
The difference is, and what makes their schooling longer, is residency,
Okay.
right? We do an internship that's about a year. Depending on which specialty they're going in, their residency could be 10 years.
Correct.
Right? So that's the big difference between medicine and chiropractic. Educationally, we're about equal with chiropractors having a little more education, but from an out in the field internship type experience,
Got it.
medical doctors do a lot more of that than we do as chiropractors. So that's a big difference.
That is that. So I didn't know that. Wow. So after your 4 years of college, then it's essentially
About 4 years of chiropractic school.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that. So there's 4 years of chiropractic school, meaning college included, or
Yeah,
after?
college included.
Okay.
So about 8 total. right?
Okay.
After high school, about 8 total.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. You were referencing the lifestyle a bit earlier. What do you think, outside of maybe flexibility, is probably the biggest draw to becoming a chiropractor in terms of your lifestyle? I mean, for you, you went the entrepreneurial route.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about maybe that route versus another route, which I guess would be working for a large.
Yeah. There's a couple different routes, right? So once you get out of school, we are very different than medical doctors.
Okay.
Because chiropractors are essentially entrepreneurs. We're small business owners. So in a lot of the stuff that I teach, I always tell young chiropractic students is that when you graduate, you are going to look much more like an auto mechanic or a bakery or a restaurant than you will a medical doctor.
Wow.
Because we're entrepreneurs. They're not, right?
Correct.
Entrepreneurship is not a big part of medicine.
Correct.
It's there, but it's not a big part of medicine. You are purely an entrepreneur as a chiropractor. The other options that are still kind of entrepreneurial is you can be an associate doctor where you go in and you work in another chiropractor's office. So you work for them.
Okay.
Right? You're an employee of that practice. Or there are other places. So now in chiropractic we have some chains out there, some big box kind of
correct
kind of places where you can go in and get a quick adjustment, and you can
joint
type places.
Yeah.
Right. And you can go in there, and so you can work there. That's really not a long-term option, but it's an option. The other option is to be what we call an independent contractor, where you are your own doctor inside another chiropractor's office. So you're basically renting space.
I see.
Yeah, so being an associate, being an independent contractor, owning your own office are typically the three options.
Man, was unaware of that. And that's not only insightful, but I guess I would wonder, from salary perspectives, are you getting a start automatically on your own, and then you have to build your own clientele, and so you essentially trade your time for money as any other job, or I'm thinking about from a salary perspective, what do chiropractors earn coming out?
So it depends on which one of those routes you go.
Got it.
If you become an associate doctor and you're working in another chiropractor's office, then you get a traditional salary. Sort of like a medical doctor, right? You're getting a traditional salary. And so that can range, right? That can range from $50,000 to maybe $120,000.
Okay.
Depending on the situation, right? And depending if you live in St. Louis or you live in California.
Correct.
So it can range somewhere in there, right? As an associate doctor. As an independent contractor, you're your own business. So it is the work you put in, right?
Correct.
Input to output. Right?
Just cracking backs.
Or output to input. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And then the same thing if you're an entrepreneur, you're opening your own practice. Same thing, it's output to input, right? What you put out is what you get back. So that's really what it is. So you make your own money. It would be like asking a restaurant owner what the salary range is. There is no range.
Correct.
Right? There's some people who are in the negative every single year, and there's restaurants that make tens of millions of dollars.
Correct.
Right. So it just all depends on what you've created.
So people who are thinking about it, they need to have some type of, from skill set perspective, you need to probably have a desire to be an entrepreneur in order to do well in this field, because essentially the more customers you have, the more money you make.
Right.
And then you can open up other locations.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it depends on what your definition of well is.
Right.
For me, well is much more in those lines, right? I'm an entrepreneur by, at heart. That's my spirit. So I love entrepreneurship. I love growing things. I love creating things. I love expanding things. I love that. Not everybody loves that.
Correct.
Right? Some people like to 9 to 5 and and barbecue on the weekends. Some people love that, right? That's the thing that they love. Then associateship might be a better fit for you, or you own your own practice and have a smaller practice. That might be a better fit for you. But yeah, if we're talking about growth and expansion and things like that, then you got to be an entrepreneur. You got to have that type of energy. You got to have that type of spirit. If that's what you want to create.
Got it. So the flexibility, you travel, you live well in terms of the ability to, take your kids, show up to their soccer games.
Right.
You mentioned this morning dropping your daughter off for golf lessons.
Yeah.
So the big draw for you was the flexibility component.
Which didn't come until recently.
That's right. So people
didn't
think
come
it
till
comes
recently. Yeah.
in the first year or two, but
Sure.
talk a little bit about,
Yeah.
your path to getting there.
Again, when I talk to young chiropractic students, I tell them balance is a consistent imbalance. That's what true balance is. There's really no such thing as, I work this much and I focus on my personal life this much. That's not a real thing.
Correct.
Because what that means is you're not doing either one of these things successfully, right? It looks more like this and it swings. And if you're doing this consistently, now that's what balance actually looks like as an entrepreneur. And so what I mean by that is that when it's time to work, you're working. You're working really hard. You're giving it everything that you have. But when it's time to take care of yourself or to be with your family, you're doing that really hard and focused.
Wow.
Right? So it looks much more like this. It took me a long time to figure that out, but it looks a lot more like that. And that's really what I found to be the true flexibility.
Okay.
Right? Is there are days where, I spend literally 15 minutes with my girls. Right? There's days where I spend literally 15 minutes. But there's also weeks where we go on vacation and it's only about them. Right? Or weekends or Saturdays or, Fridays where it's just about them. So we're doing this. And they know when I'm working, I gotta work. It's something they're used to at this point, right?
Right.
And like I said, it took a while for me to get to that point, right? Because in order for me to even get to this, it had to be a big imbalance with work. So they sacrificed a lot. They sacrificed a lot in our relationship early on, right? So I think, and that's the other thing I teach, is that, or I talk about a lot, is that if you have a family and you want to be able to be present for your family, you got to create the space in order for you to be able to be present, which means you got to work, right? You got to get out and put a lot of effort in so that you've created something that allows for you to go to the soccer game or go on vacation or do those things. Because if that business part is struggling, then you never be present.
That's right.
During those times with your family.
So I'm hearing, translation is I'm hearing, 10 to 14 hour days to start.
Yeah.
And probably the grind 5 to 8 years up front.
If you're successful,
Right.
if you're doing it the right way, that's what the time looks like. Yeah, because if your finances are not right, then you never get to spend the time with your family like you want to.
Right.
Right. And if your finances are not right, then you're always stressed about your business.
Correct.
So you never get the peace.
You get no peace.
You get no peace.
No downtime, no brain time that's relaxed.
Nah, it's it's the principle of, if you're a guy and you want to go to the beach and take your shirt off, you got to work out really, really hard to feel the way you want to feel walking down the beach. That takes hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days to get to the point where you walk down the beach feeling confident, right? So there's some work that has to be done in order to get the result that you want. If you never do that, right? If you go to the gym here and there, then you are unhappy with your effort, and then you're unhappy walking down the beach. To me, that doesn't make any sense.
That's great.
You know what I'm saying? So you might as well put the effort in, and you might as well put the work in to get the results that you want, or you may never find that peace. And that looks different for everybody.
So you mentioned there was an influence on you early that caused you to want to be a chiropractor. What was that lifestyle that you were attracted to, and has it resulted in the way that you wanted or imagined?
At that age, the very specific thing is that he was traveling the world, right? And I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to see the world. And if chiropractic can allow for me to see the world, then cool. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And I've been blessed. The Lord has blessed me to be able to do that.
Okay.
Travel the world. In late 2019, I went to China.
Wow.
For the first time.
Oh, great.
And dude, I'm gonna tell you, it was like the craziest, wildest feeling for me because it brought me back to the origin.
Wow.
Right? Like this guy he was packing up the back of his red 4Runner and ready to go to China. Okay. And I thought that was like the coolest thing, man. So to be on an airplane and landing in China was like, it was emotional.
Wow.
Right? It was an emotional moment for me.
The origin story.
Yeah, man. 20 plus years later, 25 years later, for me to be like, wow, this is, I'm doing the thing I said I wanted to do. Like I said it, back there in high school. and I'm doing it.
Correct.
So it was
Full
an
circle.
amazing. It was a full circle kind of thing, man. And on top of that, I've gotten to see a good part of the world, and travel like I wanted to. And it's really chiropractic, and entrepreneurship has really allowed for me the lifestyle, that I always wanted. It was a bunch of stuff that I didn't expect that I just am so grateful for.
So you go to, I would imagine, conferences
Sure.
in hot cities, events across the country. But again, you've also been able to, take off and have some flexibility.
Sure.
What other parts of sort of your lifestyle, I guess, with your children as they were, what comes to mind? Excuse me.
Well, that's the main thing, right? Is that I like to think that because of the hard work that I put in, and their mom as well, that I've put in, we've been able to provide for them a life that is comfortable, a life that is rewarding, in experiences, right? They've gotten to have a lot of experiences. So, because travel is important to me, they've traveled a lot.
Right.
So they've gotten to see much more of the world than I got to see at their age.
Correct.
Which I feel very fortunate to be able to provide. They've also been able to, take advantage of all these opportunities that I just wasn't able to take advantage of as a kid. Right? Like we mentioned, my daughter's going to golf practice. Golf is very expensive.
Golf is very
It's
expensive
very expensive.
for grown people.
Yes. But I'm happy to be able to provide those things, right? When the opportunities come up and they're interested in something or they fall in love with something, that I don't have to deny them. But that's the source of that is the hard work.
Correct.
Right? The source of that is not that I graduated from chiropractic school and that I am a chiropractor. That's not the source of it. The source of it is the hard work, the grind, that me and my partner put in to be able to do those things for our families.
So long before becoming a chiropractor, you are not someone who comes from wealth. So let's frame this properly, because sometimes people don't understand the path that it takes from being in and around an area where you're just not exposed to things.
Right.
So that path from there and to landing in China is a long way.
It's a little bit of a distance, right? That's a little bit of a distance. I think it's mindset, right? And my mom was always very, very encouraging. Right, we didn't have much, right? But my mom was always very, very encouraging. She developed the belief I have in myself, right? She's the one who helped to cultivate that. So I have a very high belief in myself. Sometimes a little bit too high.
Hey.
But I got a very high belief in myself. And so from that, like I said, when I made the decision to be a chiropractor, that's it. This is what's going to work. Whatever I have to do, whatever it takes, this is what's going to work. So I think it's that mindset coming from where I came from to where things are now. I value that experience, tremendously. I value how I grew up in my early childhood and all. I value that stuff tremendously now. At the time it felt terrible, right? It just felt unfair.
Because you're originally from...
I'm originally from East St. Louis.
Correct.
Yeah. And so it just felt unfair. And what I learned much later on is that how to use that to my advantage, right? How to use that experience to my advantage. So in the long run, it's been incredibly helpful.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Often you will hear people, you'll hear people frame their success. Sometimes when you dive a little bit deeper, you find that, listen, everyone's not pulling themselves up from their bootstraps like they claim.
But everybody claims that.
But everyone claims it. Everyone claims it.
Right.
So it's insightful to understand, again, the framing of coming from, essentially East St. Louis.
Yeah.
And again, flexibility, international travel, China, South America. I know other places you have been.
Yeah.
I've seen your home.
Yeah.
It's, so you have come a long way. And not only is that to be admired and congratulated, but also giving us insight to the steps, the actual work, the grind years, the sacrifice. Often what happens is people see the end result, especially with these, glamorous careers, doctor, lawyer, sometimes the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
right? But they don't understand the 15 grind years,
Yeah.
head down, sacrificial time that it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know, and also that the support that for many of us we need.
yes,
Right. The people around us that allow us to be the people that that we've become.
correct.
You know, like I said, the encouragement and the support. You know, and the people that are there for you when you're at your lowest.
That's right.
Right. You know, those. You know, having that support was really big for me. Just all these people in my life that have really been there for me, and on this journey that I wouldn't be this far.
That's right.
Without.
That's right.
Yeah.
But by the grace of God, there go I.
You know, exactly.
So we want to thank Dr. Edgar Everett, Proficient Chiropractic, located here in St. Louis, Missouri. He is expanding nationwide. He has a new location in Omaha. He's continuing to expand. You also started a yearly conference, I believe, here.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on briefly.
Sure. Yeah, we have a company called Evoke Chiropractic Coaching, and really the focus of that company is to help minorities to realize their dreams in chiropractic. Right. So we work with young chiropractors or chiropractors in practice that are just not where they want to be, and we help them to grow and develop their practice to become what they want it to be. And one of the things that we do is an annual conference where we gather all these black chiropractors from around the country together to really celebrate chiropractic, to learn from each other, to fellowship, all of those things, along with some of the coaching that we do, partnering to open practices, as you mentioned, and just a number of things around and in chiropractic.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's no there's no shortage of chiropractors.
No.
But I would imagine, once again, in terms of the BIPOC community,
Sure.
and sourcing with each other, because that's how other people have built things. They
Sure.
they have sources and capital investments to expand. So
There is a formula that we don't take advantage of.
correct. That's what I was getting
and
to.
we're trying to, take advantage of that same formula that everybody else uses.
What do you think would stop someone from becoming a chiropractor? Is it the rigor of it? Is it, what would lead to their unhappiness? Is it the imbalance of the amount of time that's required? What do you think?
From an education level, the failure rate, people who don't graduate from chiropractic school, is pretty high. Because like I
Wow.
said, it's a very rigorous program. Imagine having at least one test, up to 5 or 6 or 7 tests every single week for 3.5 straight years.
Wow.
Every week for 3.5 straight years. That's what chiropractic school is, right? So sometimes it's too rigorous for, people in chiropractic school. But then once you graduate, the expectation is now I made it. Like this is the finish line.
Correct.
What you don't understand is you just
It's
did the
the
warm-up.
starting line.
It's the starting line. You just stretched. That's all you just did
Right.
in chiropractic school. And now you're at the start line. And so for a lot of people, that's tough. After they've gone through all of that, and now you got to work even harder than you did before.
Correct.
In
Yeah.
order to get the things that you want out of becoming a chiropractor once you get that license.
Man, that's good. That's good. So much insight on that field that I just personally didn't know. Again, I don't know many chiropractors. What do you think? So, from a minority perspective, why do you think that there are so few black and brown and maybe Asian chiropractors, for example,
That's
just
really
BIPOC community?
Yeah, it's really simple exposure. It's just exposure. Black and brown people don't go to the chiropractor.
Right.
If you don't go to the chiropractor, then you don't, become a chiropractor. You know what I'm saying? If you've never gone to the racetrack, you're probably not going to be an IndyCar driver.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's really all it is, because we're capable. You know that, right? We're smart enough.
Correct.
We got the will. We
Correct.
have the talent. We have all the pieces, but it's about access. Everything is about access, right? So many people become lawyers because their dad was a lawyer.
Yep.
When I went to school, there was a bunch of people who became chiropractors because their mom or their dad or their grandfather was a chiropractor. That was a large percentage of the students there at the school. So it becomes about exposure. And then what happens is, just like my situation is, 90% of all the students there have a story where they interacted at some level with a chiropractor before they made that decision.
Gotcha.
Right. I got in a car accident and I went to a chiropractor. I had a sports injury and my mom took me to the chiropractor. My mom used to go to the chiropractor all the time, so I saw her getting adjusted. You hear stories like that over and over and over again. So it really is just about exposure, access. That's our thing. Access.
That's right. Access.
Whatever we
access
have access
to capital,
to, yeah.
access to, to the things that we don't have access to.
Exactly. Because whenever we have access, we do very well.
Correct.
In whatever it might be.
What do you think the benefits, the plain, give me like 3 top benefits of going to a chiropractor. I've gone for years.
Yeah.
I've benefited significantly. I've learned a lot about, how it not only affects your posture, but how it can affect your digestion and many other things. But what do you think are the top? Because there is this perception out there. Sometimes, look, it's not me. I am someone. It is not me. I go to the chiropractor and have that they're not real doctors. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what do you think in terms of top 2 or 3 benefits of going to a chiropractor?
Yeah. So to address the we're not real doctors kind of thing that's okay with me. Like that's okay with me.
That's right.
Because I quite honestly don't want to be like them.
That's right.
Because chiropractors are solution-based, right? We're not symptom-based, which they're just 2 different things, right?
That's
good. If you have a pain,
that's good.
And you may need a pill for your pain, but you didn't solve the reason that you have the pain.
That's right. You didn't go to the source.
You didn't go to the source, right? And they don't go to the source.
Right.
That's okay because there's space for that. There's space for addressing symptoms. That's just what they do. They don't solve problems. They don't fix things.
That's right.
Right. And that's our job, which makes our job much more difficult. Because it's our job, the results that people are looking for are to feel better, but to be fixed. That's the expectation when you go to a chiropractor, is that my problem is going to go away. The weird thing is that the medical community has convinced folks that you shouldn't have that expectation, right? That my diabetes is going to go away, right? Or that my cholesterol problem is going to go away.
Correct.
Right? Or my
just
Crohn's
managed.
is going to go away.
That's all.
Manage it. That's what you should expect, right? So they've been coached into having that expectation, where chiropractors are coaching people into the expectation of being made whole again, of being fixed. So it's a much heavier lift. So the one thing would be that paradigm shift, right? Because that's a wellness model is what that is. It means your body working the way it's supposed to, right? Finding that homeostasis, that balance, so that the body functions and works the way it's supposed to. That's the one thing that we like to see our practice members educated on. Is a different expectation, right? Yeah, you feel great when you get adjusted. Yes, you do, but that's not why you're here, right? We're here to solve a problem.
That's right.
So for a lot of people, it's weird to make that shift because when you go to your medical doctor, you go once, right? And you might go twice a year. When you go to a chiropractor, you go a lot.
That's right.
You know why? Because we're working on something.
You're trying to get to the source.
We're trying to get to the source and we're trying to fix something. So you go a lot. That's how it works.
So there's no hustle to that because people think there's like hustle to that, right?
Oh yeah, because like I said, what does the paradigm tell you, right? That you go once or twice, you get a pill, and that's it.
Right.
Right. Nobody has an expectation about the gym.
You just live with that.
Nobody has an expectation about the gym, right? They go once or twice and you expect to look like this.
No. Yeah.
Nobody has an expectation. They know you have to go and go and go and go and go in order to look like this.
Correct.
In order to be fit, in order to be healthy. That we are much more like that than we are like medicine, traditional Western medicine.
That's great.
So they're just different, right? And that's one of the things we try to educate people on is it's not a hustle. It's the way it works.
It's the way it works.
And it's our job to make sure that we're clearly explaining that to folks.
Okay.
That this is the way it works. I'm sorry if it's not what you love or what you expected. Yeah. But this is the way it works.
They want you to hand them a pill and
want you to hand them a pill.
It's gonna be fine in 2 weeks.
They want to come 2 or 3 times and everything's all better.
Correct.
That's just not the way it works.
Got it.
Right. So that would probably be the main thing. The other thing is your expectation, right, of a chiropractor, because we do work on headaches and back pain and sciatica and carpal tunnel and all of these things, right? Vertigo. We work on all of these different things. Expectation, right? This is a partnership is the other thing that we tell our practice members all the time. is that it is not my job to fix you. It's our job to fix you.
That's right.
Right. So if I'm doing my job and you're not doing your job, you're not gonna be whole.
That's right.
Right.
You are delaying
it's a partnership.
our solution.
Exactly. Which again in medicine is not the expectation. Right. If you're diabetic, your doctor never talks to you about what you're eating. They test your blood, they give you a medication for it.
Yep.
Right. So they never get into a partnership.
Just facts. You just spitting facts.
They just never get into a partnership, and that's a different thing, right?
Right.
I'm not giving it a negative or a positive
Correct.
anything. It's just a different idea, right? So when someone has that diabetes, their expectation is my doctor's going to do something to take care of my diabetes. I don't have to do anything.
That's right.
We tell people clearly, plainly.
You cannot remove yourself.
You can't remove yourself.
You cannot
from yourself.
From yourself.
You can't remove yourself from yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
those are really the two things, man. It's just different. It's just different than, and chiropractic is not for everyone.
Right.
Because not everybody wants to put the work in. Not everybody wants to put the effort in. That's not what everybody wants to do. And I'm okay with that because I care about people exactly as much as they care about themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I cannot care about you more than you care about yourself.
No, that's not our job.
That is not my job.
That's not our job. Yeah. So if you care about yourself this much, I'm with you.
Right.
But if you care about yourself this much, I'm also with you.
That's right.
Right. So we just try to give people what it is that they're asking for. If they're asking for a lot, we try to give a lot.
What do you think are the challenges to kind of maintaining a business model in your area? And I guess I'm kind of thinking, it's a numbers game, right?
Sure.
So as you solve the problem, ideally there are people exiting.
Sure.
And then ideally there are
People coming in.
Right.
Right.
So the business model, seems like it's, challenging.
Right, like it's a spinning wheel, right?
Correct.
Well, it may seem like that, but more than half of our practice members are what we call wellness care.
Okay.
And what that means is they come in occasionally just to keep everything balanced. It's about half of the people who come and see us, right? So those people, and we're very explicit and we're very plain, is that we expect to see you for the rest of your life.
Got it.
That is our expectation because we're not medicine.
Right.
Right. We're doing something different. Just like you expect to eat healthy to stay healthy for the rest of your life, and you expect to exercise to stay healthy for the rest of your life. It's the same thing with chiropractic care. It's just that when we're taking care of a specific problem, there's a lot of repetition.
Right.
When we've gotten through that problem, the maintenance is occasionally.
Got it.
You're occasionally coming to the chiropractor to keep everything balanced. So we set that expectation right from the start. There's no bait and switch.
You're right.
There's no,
That's right.
we're telling you this and it's going to end up being that. Nah, we're very clear. This is a lifestyle, and our expectation is that this is going to be a lifestyle for you.
Wow.
So
that's great.
when you talk to the business model, that really addresses that, right? Is that we want to be a business and be a successful business, but that comes secondary to the quality of care.
Right.
Right. So we fit our business model into what is quality of care.
Got it.
How can we be most successful as a business within what gives people the best results?
Got it.
Does that make sense?
That makes total
Yeah.
sense.
So there are some limitations to that, but that's our value system, right? There are some limitations. Right?
Okay. What do you think, maybe kind of finally, is what is your advice to your younger self at this point in your life regarding your career, and if you have, if you've achieved what and where you thought you may be at this point?
Oh no, I'm not.
We're Gen Xers,
Yeah.
We're proud Gen Xers.
Right.
If you have achieved, sort of the level and flexibility, and you are someone who operates with integrity. You move. Your character is good. So, I love the level of care that I get. I love your facility. It functions and moves very professionally. What's the advice to your younger self?
I really like a lot of the decisions that we've made business-wise, right? And in our practice and the way we take care of people. But we haven't been perfect.
Right.
It's been kind of a zigzaggy road to get to where we want to get to.
As is any business.
Any business, right? So to my younger self, We do very good in certain areas of the business, like quality of care, our marketing processes and procedures, things like that. What I didn't really do very, very well is keep an eye on the money.
Wow.
Right? I didn't keep an eye on the money.
Man, that's transparent. Wow. Thank you for that.
I didn't keep an eye on the money. So what that meant was we spent a lot of years just not being as profitable as we could have been.
Okay.
Because, work hard and do your best and
Right.
give all your effort and everything will take care of itself.
Right.
That is a terrible business strategy, right? That's a terrible business strategy, but that's how we worked, because we're hard workers.
Correct.
And I say we, I keep saying we because I have a partner in practice.
Right.
So I have a partner in practice, and right now we have 5 chiropractors that work for us and
Okay.
some staff. So, we were hard workers. We did all, put in all the hours. We're out in the community and in the office and there on weekends and
Just grinding, head down.
So we grew a substantial practice.
Wow.
Right, but you grow a substantial practice and you're like, man, this ain't matching.
This
ain't matching.
Where's my mansion?
Like it's good,
right?
Like it's good.
But I am.
What I see is great.
Right.
Right. What I see is great. What I'm receiving from this greatness is good.
Correct.
That doesn't match.
I'm giving out excellent,
Yes.
and I'm getting back average.
Exactly. And so we had to really kind of, do some soul searching and figure out what it was. And we really invested in getting some help in that area.
Okay.
Right. So new mentors. We're at a different phase. We needed new mentors.
Okay.
So those mentors that could say, yeah, this is great, but this is how you maximize what it is that you're doing. This is how you maintain integrity and bring up your profit. This is how you maintain the quality of care and bring up your profit. This is how you keep your employees happy and for them to continue to love the environment that you created and bring your profit up.
Got it.
Right? Those are things that we just didn't understand and that we've learned and we are currently learning to really grow that. But I would say of the two, I'm glad that we did this because now we got something.
Right.
So when we go to evaluate, we don't have a customer issue. We just don't, right?
Correct.
Which is a very nice place to be.
Yeah, that's the foundational issue.
Exactly.
You've solved.
Across business, right? Across business, it's a customer issue.
Right.
We simply do not have a customer issue. We have an efficiency issue.
Okay.
Right. And so fixing an efficiency is something I'd much rather be doing than trying to figure out how to fix a customer issue. So my younger self, I would tell me just keep a better eye on measuring everything.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, wow, we appreciate all this insight and advice.
Thank you.
I think the audience has learned a tremendous amount about chiropractors, the business model, the lifestyle. You gave us some background on salaries and different ways you can go. And so, it's not only insightful, but it's important to expose people, Gen Z, Gen X, people might be transferring careers, I don't know if somebody over 35 would consider going back to school, for example, but, if you don't have the information, you don't know.
Right.
So we just appreciate you being here for the information, the knowledge. This has been great.
Yeah.
We're going to take Career Plug out. Again, we want to thank Dr. Edgar Everett of Proficient Chiropractor. Proficient Chiropractic. We want to thank Dr. Edgar Everett of Proficient Chiropractic for joining us on Career Plugs. It's been very informative. We appreciate not only his time, but his insight and advice. You guys stay tuned. We have more and better, at least on my part, live podcasts coming to you. Please remember to like, share, join this community as we expose, advise, counsel around all the career options that exist. We'll see you. We're out.